My name is Savannah, and I am your FM99 Rock Girl, and I am here with Jonny Hawkins from Nothing More. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. Are you looking forward to tonight?
I am. I was just telling you before, we haven't really been sleeping that well this tour, but last night I got very good sleep, finally. Our bus is kind of a roller coaster at night. But yeah, so I'm all charged and ready to go.
Perfect. Johnny's gotten his beauty sleep. Alrighty, well, let's get this interview kicking off. So, you paint yourself before your shows. Can you tell me about that? I need to know, where did that come from? What's the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, so my mom was a painter growing up. She did watercolor and stuff, so I grew up in a pretty artistic home. Like, she just had all kinds of forms and mediums of art that we did growing up as kids. And so my first love growing up was drawing. Like, I wanted to be a cartoonist when I was young. It was like my first desire.
Characters or like cartoons?
I just loved cartoons when I was young.
Okay.
You know, just I like drawing, like any kid, drawing dinosaurs and
big art girl. So
okay, cool.
I love that.
And then I got into painting and all this stuff, and it was like my first dream was to do that. And then I made a shift towards music once I started playing the drums, of course. And so it was always kind of like something in the back of my mind that was an influence in my art. So I started doing the paint thing because I was initially the drummer in the band. I didn't sing until many years later. We went through like 4 or 5 singers. And once I started singing, I kind of just kept the same uniform I did when I was drumming, which was no shirt, no shoes. But then I didn't want to just be like a shirtless guy on stage, because especially if you work out at all, you kind of look douchey. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I want to bring some art to this and also kind of channel that, kind of like that when people would, warriors would go to battle, they just kind of channel that spirit of battle through the paint, and I kind of get into that mode. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a lot of things together.
Really cool. I like how you combine those two mediums of your music and your art. I think that's really special. Especially, I'm sure your mom would be very proud.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So you said you were the drummer previously. So how did that transition? How did you kind of handle that transition from drumming to now singing?
Pretty horribly at first. It was very awkward and very uncomfortable, because my biggest fear at the time was public speaking, and singing wasn't even on the table. I was like, hell no. That would be so frightening to me. That was my biggest fear. So it really was just got to a point where if we didn't have a singer, we weren't going to make it. And so I just had to step up and do it and get over that fear. So the first year or two, I just kind of made a deal with myself. I was like, this is going to suck and I'm going to feel uncomfortable every time I step on stage. But if I can just get through a year, maybe it won't feel as bad. You know what I mean? Kind of that
getting comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes. So I got through it, and then sure enough, I started getting better, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm onto something, but I had to give myself that time.
Right. Yeah. To get used to it. It's a whole new avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're currently on tour right now with Disturbed. How has that been going?
Oh, awesome. We have Disturbed in Daughtry, and it's been one of my favorite tours yet, because not only do we have Chris Daughtry on our song Free Fall, which is our current single that we just put out. We also have David Draymond on Angel Song, one of our songs that was also a single. So last night, for example, Chris Daughtry came out during Free Fall, and then we played Angel Song later in the set, and David Draymond came out. And so it's we're the opening band, you know, but we're getting the singers from both the other bands singing with me. And so it's a huge honor and kind of a full circle moment in my life. Because, if you would have told 14-year-old me that David Draymond would be coming on stage singing with me, I would have been like, no way,
Insanity.
Yeah. So it's really cool for that reason. But we also get along real well with both the bands.
That's
great.
Awesome.
And it's because some tours you don't.
Right.
You know?
Their music.
Yeah.
So is it any difference in your preparation for the shows? So when you're doing just your Nothing More tours, and then when you're opening up for
Oh, just like versus like a headline show versus an opening. Yeah, it's a little different. a headline, obviously you're playing longer, so I kind of have to make sure I have to be a little more protective with my voice to make sure I'm ready to go. When you're an opener, there's a little less pressure in some ways because it's just like a wham bam, thank you ma'am, done.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're in and you're out. But if it's a headline, I just need like a little more time to like get my head right and get ready.
So the lead singer from I Prevail is featured on your latest single, House on Sand. Can you tell me a little bit about how that collaboration came to be?
Yeah, so we were playing in Sweden with Disturbed and I Prevail, and we just had like a really killer show and got to hang out with both the bands afterwards, and we just hit it off. And Eric ended up coming out to a show in Germany where they had a day off, but we were playing.
Yeah.
So he came out with, I think, one of the other guys in the band, one of the crew members, and we just partied after the show, had a great time, just broed down, and ever since then we kind of had him in our mind of like someone we'd like to do a song with or something. And then when we came back to the States, we were working on the album, House on Sand came along, and he was like just kind of at the top of the list in our mind because we've always liked how he screams. It's it's got a lot of personality and you can hear the words, and he's just got his own style. So, and then we reached out to him and he basically said yes real quickly. So yeah.
Awesome. So when you are developing your music and in that creative state, are you thinking about who you want to collaborate with like while you're developing it, or does it kind of just come to fruition like at the more towards the end? Yeah, because when you're making it, you're just trying to make it the best it could be, right?
Regardless, because there's really no guarantees if someone's going to say yes or if they can even do it. Sometimes we have like an idea in mind, like if there's a section where it's like, okay, it'd be cool to have like someone who's a little more rap oriented or someone who's a little more scream oriented, or a lower voice or a higher voice. But with that one, it was already done. I had already sang all of those vocals, and we were just kind of like, here, do you want to, replace my voice on these parts and just kind of take it and run with it? Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, has anybody ever said no?
Yeah. There's been, I think Gojira was a band where we thought the singer from there would be real interesting for this one song, and they passed. I don't know why. Whether it was he didn't want to be on the song or they were on tour and they couldn't do it. There's usually a lot of reasons. Trying to think. Yeah, like I had Ivan from 5 Year Death Punch. He had wanted to do one, but the timing wasn't right. Sometimes when you're touring, it's hard to like, if you have a deadline and they just can't get to it. Yeah, because your voice is, recovering on the road. You're always worried about the show, so it's hard to lay down vocals when you're touring. So things like that. But we've definitely had some good yeses, like David Draymond and Daughtry and Eric from I Prevail.
So you guys have had a lot of radio success with 2 number ones on your latest album. So how did that accomplishment feel?
Awesome so far. I mean, we had really good feelings and hopes for this album. So obviously we got the first number one. We were stoked. We felt really validated by that because I had written that song like well before we even worked on the album, and I had told the label and the band had they got involved in it, but I had started the idea. I was like, guys, I think this is a number one, even back then.
Right.
And a lot of people, even the label, were kind of unsure. And so it was very validating 2 or 3 years later to be like, I told you so. I told you it was a number one. And then the second one, we were really, surprised. We're like, holy, all right, we got another number one. And now House on Sand is at number 2 right now. We're being told it's going to be really difficult to go number one because Disturbed's ahead of us at the number 1 slot.
Okay.
And then Volbeat's biting at our heels right now. So it's looking like Volbeat's probably going to leapfrog us. So that's always frustrating, but it's right there. It's at number 2.
Oh my gosh.
Oh well.
So close. So, have I been hearing correctly, you're doing voice lessons on Instagram?
Yeah, I just started this last month for the first time I've ever done that. I just saw people online someone had commented about if I'd ever taught a voice lesson, and I didn't think much of it. I just replied being like, yeah, I might do one here or there, like just for fun. And then I got like 50 messages in my inbox. I was like, oh, there's actually like a demand for this. So I was like, you know what? I got a month before I leave on tour. Let me throw it out there. And then I got like completely booked up that entire month.
That's insane.
Like that. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll do this as like a little side thing when I'm home. Yeah.
So, so what kind of, I guess, is there like a specific audience that you're focused towards?
With the lessons? Not really. I mean, I can pretty much teach anyone, I think, because a lot of it's applicable to whichever direction you want to go genre-wise, or what your goals are may be different, but the fundamentals and like what I've learned in my journey of singing over 15 to 20 years is like all of it still applies, you know, and you can use it in different ways, but it's still the same core knowledge and tips and tricks that I have, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sharing your talent. I love it.
Yeah.
So I also heard that you host an Airbnb in Nashville.
Yeah.
So how has that been going? Have you had any crazy experiences or interesting experiences?
It's been very good. I gotta say it's been a learning experience. I got to give credit where credit's due. My girl back in Nashville, she's like she's been doing, you know, the bulk of the work, you know, because I tour a lot, so it's good to have like a point person to
point of contact.
Yes, she's knocking it out of the park, and she's doing a lot. But it's been interesting. I think the lessons that I've learned and we've learned is that like it's always better to just market to rich people, because I'm not even joking. Like even if you get booked a little less, if you make your product, or you know, you spend the time and invest the money and the energy into making it really nice and catering to people that are willing to pay a little bit more, they just don't wreck your place. They have more money on the line to, like, they're incentivized to keep it nice. They're usually more pleasant to deal with. And that's what we've learned, because once you we've dropped the price at times, and you're like, okay, this weekend isn't booked, and we'll drop it, and somebody books it. We're like, cool, but it's usually people that are just like looking to find like a cheap deal, and then they just, God, there's vomit on the in the bathroom they didn't clean up, and there's like a little dent over here, and or they lock themselves out, and we have to call a locksmith at 2 a.m, or just stuff that you're like, I don't want to deal with this. Yeah, so that's what I've learned, is just like go nicer, spend the time and the money, and market to people who are willing to put their money where their mouth is, Quality over quantity, exactly. But it's amazing. Nashville's such like a booming place to do it. I'm sure if we did an Airbnb in a lot of other places, I don't think that it's like so saturated that it's pretty hard to do. But if you're right next to downtown in Nashville, it's just it's booming, and the real estate's going to grow. Oh yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, so we're looking to buy a second one. Like we're already made an offer on a second one. I want to buy a third one next year. So I want to build like a portfolio of properties, and then eventually leverage that and transition. I want to start owning like apartment complexes. That's where the real money is.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say that.
It's a good counterbalance to the music industry, because the music industry is very feast and famine. Like we do. We spent 10 years making like no money and eating ramen noodles, and sleeping on floors and playing dive bars. But when then you make it in the music industry, you finally break through. Yeah, you make some good money, but it's only when you go and bust your ass and tour, and then you kind of have to like ration that in the off season. So it's a good counterbalance to that.
That will be not a side hustle. That's a hustle.
Yeah.
So between your tours, voice lessons, Airbnb-ing, potential apartment complex managing, do you get any free time?
Free time is what do they say? Like idle hands are the devil's playthings, or something like that. I'm a big believer that I'm kind of like a shark. I have to keep moving or I die, kind of a thing.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely take like a good rest when I get home for the first few days. I kind of just let myself go. But after that, like I just have to have things to be chasing after. Otherwise, I just get into trouble or like, you know what I mean? Like I have to have something like orienting things. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a little bit of a this or that situation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I got Coke or Pepsi?
Coke or Pepsi? I'm not really a soda drinker.
Okay.
So I'll go with the classic Coca-Cola, I guess.
Can't go
Mexican
wrong with it.
Coca-Cola. That's the nuance.
Absolutely. Glass bottle.
Yes.
All right. Mountains or beach?
For me, mountains.
Mountains, okay.
Yeah.
Any specific mountains?
See my white?
you like?
Do you see my very white skin? The beach is not kind to me, but I do like the beach too. But mountains is that's where my heart's
Any mountains feel like home?
I love the Smoky Mountains
Okay.
and also the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, that's a tough one. Rocky Mountains and Smoky Mountains, and then the Swiss Alps. Oh my
gosh.
God, that's
Incredible.
like heaven on earth. Yeah.
Okay, so are you an early bird or a night owl?
I'm more of a night owl. Yeah, I'm not a morning person. It takes me like an hour to just like
Just wake
start
up.
walking.
Okay, skydiving or scuba diving?
Probably skydiving. I think scuba diving would be like I've done snuba diving where you go like 20 to 30 feet, but even that I feel so like helpless once you get past a certain point. You're like, this is scary. Yeah, I think the deep ocean's probably like my deepest fear.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go skydiving.
All right, astronomy or astrology?
Astronomy.
Okay.
Science.
All right, hot sauce, toothpaste, or pickle juice face wash?
Wait, what? Say that again.
Hot sauce, toothpaste,
Okay, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
or pickle juice face wash?
Pickle juice face wash.
Oh God. Okay. A window seat or an aisle seat?
Window seat or an aisle seat? Oh, window seat.
Window seat.
Yeah,
okay.
all day.
Get a
But
good
I
view.
travel so much that I always need something to lean on to sleep. Otherwise, like I woke up one time like asleep on this old woman, and I think I was drooling on her.
Oh my God.
Like, but we fly so much, we
Yeah.
travel so much. It was on an international flight,
Oh my gosh.
so I need the window.
Drooling on the ladies.
Yeah, sorry, lady.
All right, skiing or snowboarding?
I snowboard
Awesome.
since I was like 10.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, I don't go very often, so it's not like I'm like amazing or anything. But I'm decent.
You're decent. Alrighty. Comedy or horror?
That's tough. I'd say if I'm by myself, I prefer comedy.
Okay.
And if I'm with someone, horror's more fun.
Valid.
I like
Valid.
seeing jump scares of other people or
But
me.
not by
or-
yourself.
Yeah, it's like every once in a while. If it's by myself, I'd probably do more of like a psychological horror or a thriller.
I could see that.
The supernatural ones, I don't know. It doesn't really. I like them if there's jump scares mixed in with it.
Okay.
Because that's the fun part. Like Smile. Have you seen the new Smile?
I haven't.
Oh, it was good. It was really. Anyway,
Oh, I
side
haven't.
note.
I'll
It's
have
good.
to Look into it. Are you a cat guy or a dog guy?
Dog, but I was never really into cats until a few years ago, and then I had this little kitten that kind of attached to me that
Once they
it kind
latch
of
onto you, it's
melted
crazy.
my heart a little bit, and I was like, okay, this cat's cool. And then
Right. You find your soul cat, right?
yeah, so now I have a little bit of a different perspective on cats
Right.
since that experience, but I'm still I got 2 dogs back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got a cat from the Norfolk SPCA, and I told myself I would never get a cat.
Yeah, yeah.
and he's a dog, basically.
Aw.
He's getting raised by my dog, so he's got all of the
okay.
dog tendencies, literally runs to the front door when someone's knocking on him. That's not normal, but it's
That's the
cute.
cutest thing when you see the cats like acting like a dog or mimicking the
Literally plays
behavior.
like it. It's crazy.
I saw this video of a cat with these 2 dogs, and it was clear he'd been raised like with dogs.
By dogs?
He was barking, like the dogs were barking, and the cat was like, like trying to bark like the dogs.
Oh, I gotta
It's so cute.
try that one next.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one: glitter body wash or glue deodorant.
Does the glitter come off? when you wash, or is it?
Does any glitter come off when you wash it?
No. Glitter body wash or glue deodorant, so my armpits would be stuck. I'll go with glitter body wash because I could just incorporate it into my body paint.
Perfect. That would be perfect for you. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Jonny. I had a blast today talking to you, and I can't wait to see you tonight.